Hello everyone, welcome to the final lesson. Today we'll be learning how to make a geography quiz on Scratch. So I've gone ahead and chosen a sprite already as well as a backdrop, and then I'm going to go into events on the side and drag in when green flag clicked. After that, I'm going to go into motion and then set this sprite into the position where I want it to be. So on the bottom left corner, I'm going to press set X to this number and then set Y to that number so that when the green flag is clicked, my monkey or my sprite will already be standing where I want it to be. Next, I'm just selecting the costume. So there's 3 costumes, the happy, the neutral one, and the confused one. And I'm going to switch the monkey to be in monkey A, which is the happy costume. Next, I want the monkey to introduce himself, so I'm going to drag the say hello for 2 seconds, and I'm going to type out a little introduction. So I gave the monkey a name, Smudge the monkey, and I'm just welcoming everyone into the geography quiz. Then I'm going to set it for 3 seconds so that you'll have enough time to read it. Afterwards, I'm going to switch costumes again, but to monkey B, the neutral monkey. This one right here. Let's go ahead and press the green flag to see what the introduction looks like. Now I'm going to move on to our first set of questions. So let's go into sensing and drag in ask, what's your name, and wait. In this text box, you can write in the first quiz question. So the first question that I'm going to write in is, what is the largest ocean? Next, we're going to go into control, drag in the if blank, then else, which looks like the letter E. Next, we'll go over to sensing, drag in the answer block, and we'll just place it somewhere we're going to be using it. And then operators, and then we're using this green one, blank equals 50, drag in answer, and then you want to type in the answer for the question. So Pacific Ocean is the largest ocean. Drag that in after the if. Then I'm going to go into looks, drag in switch costume to monkey A, which was this costume, the happy one. That way the monkey celebrates when the answer is correct. Then I want the game to play a sound, so I'm going to drag in start sound after that purple block. That way a sound plays when the answer is correct. Here I am choosing a sound, so I think I'm going to use the sound magic spell. And you can adjust the sound to make it softer, louder, play faster or slower if you'd like. Then I'm going back to code and just selecting that sound. Then I'm scrolling up to looks and dragging in say hello for 2 seconds. And then in the box I can type in correct for when the answer is correct and leave that up for 2 seconds. Now I'm going to start the code for when the answer is incorrect. So what I'm going to do is switch costume and then to monkey C, which is the confused monkey, this one. Back to the code, I'm going to drag in the say hello for 2 seconds block and just attach that one under the switch costume and instead type in incorrect. What we should be left with is this block of code for the first question, and this will allow people to type in the answer. If they get it correct, they can move on to the next question, and if they don't, they're going to have to redo the question. Now let's add a scoring system to the game. So go into variables, and then we're going to make a new variable and just call that one score. That should appear here on the top left hand side. Next, there's a block right under that. Set my variable and change that one to score and leave it at 0. What we can do with this block is drag it right under this block here when green flag is clicked. That way when you press the green flag, the score is immediately set back to 0. Back to this block of code, we can go to this block here, change my variable, and change the variable to score, and leave it by 1, and drag that one just here, so that when you get the answer correct, the score will go up by 1. Let's test this. Let's press the green flag. So it introduces us to the game, however, it doesn't take us to the first question. How can we fix this? We're going to have to make a new block. Let's go into my blocks down here and then press make a block. Let's title this one question 1. Afterwards, we've got to drag the define question 1 block just here. so that the coding knows that this part is question 1, and then drag this block at the end of the introduction sequence. That way, right afterwards, it will lead us straight to question 1. Let's test this out. The introduction sequence leads us right into the first question here. We can see as well that if we get the question correct, we'll be able to move on to the next question. However, if we get it incorrect, we can see the monkey change costume, and then we'll have to repeat the question. Next, we're going to move on to the second question of the quiz. How we do that is by copy and pasting this block of code and just pasting it right under here. What we can do now is write out a completely new question. So I'm going to type out here, how many continents are there? Then we will need to change the answer block to say 7. Now that we have question 1 and question 2, we have to make sure that after we have answered question 1, we are able to move on to question 2. So we make a new block, name this one question 2. Then we can drag the define block to here so the code knows that this is question 2. Next, we grab the question 2 block that we've just made and insert it here. That way, if you get question 1 correct, you can move on to question 2. However, if they get the answer incorrect, we want the question to repeat itself. So grab question 1 and put that at the end here. We want the same thing to happen in question 2, so we grab the question 2 block and drag it to attach it at the same place but in the question 2 code. Next, we can do the same thing by copying and pasting question 2 to make question 3, changing the questions and answers. Now I'm doing a question on flags, so a picture of a flag will appear and the person answering the quiz will have to give the name of the country that the flag belongs to. Since this is question 3, I'm just going to delete the question 2 block and make a whole new block and name that one question 3. After making that block, I'm going to do the same thing, attach it to the define question 3 block to the question 3 code. Now I'm attaching the question 3 block to the question 2 code. That way, if you get the answer correct, you are able to progress to question 3 from question 2. Now I'm dragging the question 3 block and attaching it to the end of question 3 code so that if you get the question incorrect, it will repeat itself. For question 3, I want a picture of the French flag to appear, so what I'm going to do is upload a new sprite. I've saved a photo of the French flag into the computer, and then I'm just going to upload that one into here. Now I'm adjusting the size of it to make it smaller and just moving it around to where I want it to be. Now we can code for it to pop up at question 3. So I'm going to go into Events, when green flag clicked, Looks, and drag in the Hide button. That way it doesn't show up until question 3. Under Controls, I'm going to drag in the Wait Until block, and then I'll go into Operators and drag in the equal sign block. Then I'm going to Variables, dragging in Score, placing that here, and changing the number to 2. That way the flag will only appear once question 2 is done, ready for question 3. Then you drag that here after the Wait Until. Then I'm going into Looks and dragging in the Show block. That way the flag actually shows. Now let's go back into Operators and drag in again the equal sign block. Then going back into Variables, dragging Score, and then changing the number to 3. That way the flag goes away again once this question is over. Then we go back into Control, drag in another Wait Until block, and then putting that operator block right in there. Now for the flag to actually disappear, we've got to put in the Hide block right after that so it doesn't appear again. Now I'm just going to test this out to see if the flag will appear. So I've just got to complete question 2. Boom, the flag will appear, and then once you're done with question 3, the flag disappears again. Now with all 3 questions completed, I'm going to make an ending sequence. First I'm going to drag the Wait Until block just here, then I'm going into Operators, dragging in the equal sign, then going into Variables and dragging in the Score variable. I'm going to change the number to 3. Now I'm going to go into Looks and switch costume to Monkey A and then drag that one just under there. Now I want the monkey to move to the middle of the screen, so I'm going to go into Motion and then glide 1 second to X, Y. Then I'm going to move my sprite to where I want it to end up on the screen, around there, and then put in the numbers accordingly. So X here and Y here. Now I just want to change the duration of the movement. So I'm going to change 1 second to half a second here. Now I want to put in sounds that I want to play during the ending sequence. So I might put in a cheering sound as well as a bit of music. Now I'm going into looks and I'm going to drag in a say hello for 2 seconds, and I'm going to input a message for the people who have completed the quiz. So I might say congratulations. It is completely up to you what you want to put into the ending sequence. You might add more messages, more sounds, change costumes, or change backdrops. Here I'm just going to change costume one more time. Once you're done with that, we have to make a new block. We'll title this one ending sequence. And then we've got to add the define block onto the ending sequence code here. Then we grab the ending sequence block and then we place it here in the question 3 code so that if you get question 3 correct, it takes you right to the ending sequence. Congratulations, you've just finished coding your quiz. Now, let's give it a try. So, largest ocean, Pacific Ocean. There are 7 continents. And then France.